All I need be the strength, so make Baba God go have me some sense. I say, I go make him proud, I go make you go drive for the range and the band. So all I need be the strength, so make Baba God go have me some sense. So we have some for that paper, CD and dollars. You know the money that coming later. I suffer the paper, CD and dollars. You know the money that coming later.
So when you see me talking about this money, I will see my eyes, don't see my brother. Let it change for me. When you see me talking about the house and cars, I will see my eyes, don't see my brother. Let it change for me. Cause that's the way don't suffer, suppose get sense. I see they walk hard, then you suppose give sense. If them close all the gates, you suppose your fence. Cause that's the way don't suffer, suppose get sense. I see they walk hard, then you suppose give sense. If them close all the gates, you suppose your fence. Thank God I don't look like what I've been through. Them me won't give me things I don't go fish you. But Baba God he put out
we dey hustle for that paper, CD and dollars. You know the money that coming later. Hustle for the paper, CD and dollars. You know the money that coming later. Hustle for the paper, if I be now or never. You know the money that coming later. We dey hustle for that paper, CD and dollars. You know the money that coming later.
It's Kid Nature and the beats.
Bodies. Welcome back. This is TV XYZ. I like the health tidbits section because that's when you get to know a lot of things that perhaps you may not have been aware of. It's Thursday, and I'm just wondering what is going through your mind. A lot. I've seen a statement signed by the chief director of the finance ministry, which is speaking to the controversy, the vaccines that we are buying. At this stage, a lot of countries are fighting hard to make sure that life returns to normal. In UK and the US, for example, there are timelines for people to return back to what we used to do. And this means that it is going to enhance economic activities. You remember that a lot of people have had their pays slashed or perhaps are sitting at home because the companies are not breaking even, all because of COVID. In a part of the world, we got donations from other countries, especially the COVAX vaccine sponsored by the WHO. Apart from that, we have not received anything. There's no commitment. But yesterday, the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament says it looks like there is something that is happening that is so funny we must all show interest in. We fake shortage and then use middlemen to strike a deal. And so I'm referring to vaccines that should go for $10 that now is emerging. We signed contracts through middlemen to go for it for $19. And so if you are buying, let's say 10 million doses, you can imagine, because the price is per dose. That's how serious it is. We'll be listening to the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, and this issue should not just rest because people cannot be making money out of a pandemic that is destroying lives and has crippled several homes. It is also coming at a time when we all say government should account for how much money we have spent so far on managing COVID. We are hearing 19 billion, 21 billion. Yesterday, the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament told me that when the minister appeared before the committee for the consideration of the appropriation bill, he could only account for 600 million cedis out of the 19 or 21 billion cedis. This is a very serious issue, and so don't take it lightly. And I've listened to the chairman of the committee who is suggesting, and in one of the interviews, that, well, people quoted several prices, some even below $10. And so it is an issue about market forces. It didn't make sense to me. Again, the ministry also issued a statement more than 48 hours after this. It's a yes or no. Has government signed any contract? The statement only said that at the appropriate time, government or the health ministry will issue a statement to respond directly to this allegation. It's almost like the chartered flights that we heard of that went to France, Belgium, and South Africa. Almost 2 weeks now, no official response. They are all hiding under the fact that, yes, we know the finance minister or the defense minister will appear before Parliament because of the motion filed by the ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee, or MP for North Tongue. So Ghanaians are kept in the dark. But yesterday, we all heard that the president went to Burkina Faso in the presidential jet. So it meant that Okudzeto was right when he said he knows that the presidential jet is working. So what is really happening in this country? I'll stop here. Today, Obobia will speak to you if you're a woman. If you work in an environment and somebody is making life difficult for you, so that when you are even coming to work, it looks like you are going into a den, a lion's den, what would you do? I'm talking about women. Sebema si opel. Na o se me mpel. Na your boss. Na enunti ube jumema na tete o. Oma ejuma na oba be na ejuma environment no enye ode. How do you respond to this? Obubia will smile at you, and I'm sure you walk to your office feeling very much motivated. Let's listen to Obobia now.
Hello, this is Pause for 3 Minutes with me, Obobia Darko Poku. We are still in season 7 of our presentations. In this episode, I want to speak about an age-old and serious menace in our workplaces. yet most victims are afraid to speak about. I'm talking about workplace sexual harassment. Is someone making life a living hell for you at your workplace just because you refuse to have sex with him or her? There are lots of people, especially young women, who are going through terrible experiences at their workplaces just because they are not willing to submit to sexual desires of their bosses or even senior colleagues. And before you blame this on just the men, there are terrible instances as well of men who are sexually harassed and abused by their female bosses. For me, sometimes I'm compelled to conclude that sexual harassment is really not about sex. It is about power, aggression, and manipulation. It is an abuse of power from some superiors who simply want to prey and harass their subordinates to show power and exploit them. If you were shocked at the intriguing stories women shared using the hashtag harassment at work and hashtag MeToo, then I invite you to speak to and interview many of the young women who work in the big shopping marts, fuel service marts, our ministries, departments and agencies, and others. They are constantly harassed, threatened, and abused. Is there any wonder when a woman attains a certain height in her career, she's often asked, "What did you do to get there?" Such a shame. Even though there are laws to protect people from sexual harassment, many people are still afraid to speak up for the fear of being sacked and or stigmatized. Most often, the complaints of victims also go ignored. They may end up becoming a target of retaliation or even lose their jobs. We must come together and support each other and help break the silence and ensure that victims of sexual harassment and abuse at the workplace come forward to speak up and be heard. Are you a victim or lost your job because you refuse to be harassed? Do you want to share your story but afraid? Send me a message and let's meet. You can also email me, post43@razorgroup.com. If you are an employer, a manager, or supervisor, I want to encourage you to be observant and also talk to, especially your young female employees, and help protect them from sexual harassment. But what if the employer himself is the culprit? This is why we must not relent on our efforts to intensify awareness. We need to support and protect systems for victims of harassment to be heard. But I encourage you not to shut up and eat yourself up. Rather, break the silence and speak up to save yourself and others after you. Thank you for your time. Pause for 3 minutes. It's sponsored by FlexiPay. Endless possibilities. Join me every Monday and Thursday on the morning update on TV XYZ and online on Razor TV.
And when she was speaking, I was reflecting on my working life. If Samai Bida, I don't know how it sounds like. Sometimes you want to play with somebody, sometimes you want to take advantage. And so if you're a man, ask yourself, Damasama working. But I believe that if you're a woman, you believe in yourself, you trust that you have the qualification, and you are proud of what you have earned, you would not allow yourself to be abused. But it is also a fact that there are some women who may want to entice you, and just take lessons from what we heard of just recently about somebody and a woman and a video and a documentary and how it ended up. Let's be disciplined. That's what I take from Obobia's message. Take it for yourself. This morning, I want us to reflect on our own selves, our own contribution towards the development of this country. How can we put pressure on people to do the right thing. I listened to a conversation between Alban Bagwin and a Kenyan parliamentary delegation which called on him 2 days ago. And he said something very instructive, that Parliament is the problem of countries in Africa. And the problem is simple, because Parliament is failing to hold the executive to account. Because in his presentation, he said the Chief Justice, even though if you look at in Ghana we say fourth estate of the realm, second, third, whatever. So you have the presidency or government forming the executive. You want to look at the legislature. You want to look at the judiciary. He said the Chief Justice, even the Chief Justice is sworn in Parliament. The President is sworn in Parliament. And almost every country, it is Parliament that will give the legitimization after the processes that they go through. And so Parliament can play a key role. And if Parliament can be bold enough to hold the executive to account and even ensure that what the people want is what any government will do, Africa should not be where it is now. So reflect on all the allegations, all the cases that have gone through our Parliament since 1992 and ask yourself, are MPs complicit or are MPs committed towards the development of this country? I want us to tie this to what is happening now, because the minority is saying that, oh, we will hold the minister before the committee. If it becomes necessary, we'll call for a bipartisan approach. At the end of the day, what will happen? What will the individual Ghanaian benefit from? Before I tell you what the newspapers are reporting, I want to say happy birthday to my brother, Mugabe Mercy, Salifu Mugabe Mercy. Today is your birthday. I'm so happy that you are alive, you are strong, and you are continuing to play your role to help shape public policy and, of course, to put pressure on authority to do the right thing. I also want to say condolences to a very good friend of mine, Andy Tay. He's a musician. His mother, Clara, died some months ago. In fact, today is exactly 1 year when she was buried. She is Clara Robertson Tay. Andy wants me to just extend his gratitude to all the family members, all well-wishers who joined him to mourn the mother. And exactly a year today, when he's remembering the mother, he wants to say thank you to all. At this stage, I will try to open the phone lines and take about 4 comments. Let's hear what is on your mind. And let's see if this time Parliament will do the right thing. Because when the Speaker of Parliament changed and Alban Bagwin took the seat, Ghanaians had high expectations. And what even endorsed it was the fact that even civil society, governance institutions were saying that now we have a hung parliament. It means that Parliament will not be the under the whims and caprices of any regime that will try to tie the arms of MPs. Is this what we are seeing? If Bagwin's Parliament today is not able to demonstrate that we are changing from what we used to know, then we are doomed. Then it means Bagwin's Parliament has failed. Then it means Alban Bagwin is only talking and is not ensuring that the right things are done. Let us try to sometimes change the narrative and put pressure on those who have the power to ensure that the things we want do what we expect. That is what I think we should do. And so at this stage, the numbers will be displayed on the screen. They are on the screens already. And so if you feel like there's something bothering you with regards to how things are panning out in this country, just call me and let's speak. Today, I want to reserve the newspapers. So Ishmael from Tamale is on the line. Ishmael, good morning. What do you think, where do you think we are going at this time?
Today, I want to reserve the newspapers. So Ishmael from Tamale is on the line. Ishmael, good morning. What do you think? Where do you think we are going at this time?
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Ishmael.
Good morning to all your viewers, and I love your program. You know, as of now, we are talking about this topic we are raising. I think it's a good topic, and we need to take it into consideration. What I'm foreseeing in the future of Ghana is...
Unfortunately, we've lost him, but I'm sure we have about some 5 minutes more to pick 1 or 2 more calls. That will not end it. Your text messages will come. We'll read them on the program. And don't forget, this program is live on Facebook, on YouTube. And don't forget again, when Obobia was wrapping up, she mentioned the Xyz group. We are also partnering them, and all what you are seeing here is on those platforms. Good morning. This is from Tamale, I guess. Hello, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Yes, I want to listen to you, sir. Make it brief.
Okay. Okay, me, I have only one problem. The program is Tamale here. We don't even have any red station that are related to Power FM, because anytime we want to listen to Mugabe, we set churches. We will buy credit for 20 cedi before you go online and listen to Mugabe. So if you people can do something about it for us in Tamale, we'll be very, very happy.
Okay, I know some partners in the northern region pick our feed, but I'll do the checks again and refer you to where you can listen to us.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Right. So today in your newspapers, you find on the front page of the Daily Graphic 222 cured patients stranded. That's the big story on the front page of the Daily Graphic. And that story talks about 3 illegal miners who have been jailed for 4 years. Daily Guide on its front page says female coup plotter wanted, Nana eliminated. That's the big story on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. The Analyst front page, Ghana inflation falls to unexpected record low. Chronicle on its front page says, you have no absolute immunity. Make yourselves available to the court. That's the Speaker of Parliament to members of the House. Now, somebody is on the line from Lord Gaddafi. I'm told you are calling from Dansuman. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Lord, you can speak. I'm listening.
Okay, today we wish Mugabe a happy birthday today, and may he live long and speak the truth. We see there's one thing happening in this country, because it's like Ghana, we don't have a president, because everybody do whatever he likes. And one day, they will die and they will go to heaven. And God will send them back to this earth to come and face their consequences if they do bad. And they will receive punishment before. Thank you.
Let's pray for the best. Good morning. Thanks for your call. Ghanaian Times on its front page, if you get one, is saying that IFC to inject $2 billion to shore up the private sector. That's what the finance minister is quoted to have said at a function. On the front page of the Insight newspaper, it says Oatu dragged to court. And the Citizen newspaper talks about Dr. Baumia. It says Baumia lied to us, chiefs and elders of Kweman, Damfa, and Amrahia are claiming. And then the last one I want to do is from the Daybreak newspaper. UN fires Ghanaian soldiers. Akufo-Addo uses presidential jet for Burkina Faso is captured by the Daybreak newspaper. And the Daily Statesman on its front page, 145 million cedis ready for small and medium-scale enterprises. Kweku Bako's new crusading guide says, major boost for MSMEs. And that's really the story about the function that President Akufo-Addo endorsed yesterday. Abdallah, good morning. How's Kumasi?
Good morning.
Yes, I was asking how Kumasi is this morning.
Yeah, Kumasi is fine.
Okay, shoot.
I want
Make it
to
brief.
wish Mugabe happy birthday.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
All right, it's almost time. Wisdom Hedejoma is around the corner. Don't worry, Abena is around. We just decided that she should just pack herself and let me take it alone. After the news, she will surface.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. natural mineral water. Simply natural.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many hours.
Sure. Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check. Visit AutoChecks at Koforidua Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. Auto checks. Check.
Auto Checks. Your safety, our priority. Check. Auto Checks.
Hello again, and many thanks for joining TVXYZ News in Brief this morning. Now, government hot over alleged Sputnik V vaccine scandal, suggesting Health Ministry signed a contract of $19 per dose instead of 10. National Security blamed for complicity in its own assessment report, confirming ISIS lost credibility and possible nationwide violence in the future. Also, if you're a football fanatic and you love quality, I have some good news for you, because HD definition satellite broadcast via selected Samsung TVs now available in Ghana, courtesy My HD Plus app. With over 100 FTA channels. We shall tell you more about this interesting package. And a little later, Nigerian ambassador to Ghana begs Speaker Alban Bagbin to facilitate reopening of Ghana's borders. We have details of these and other stories. Please stay for details. Grateful that you could join us. My name is Weston Heatherjime. Let's begin the stories from the health sector, because ranking member on Parliament Health Committee of Parliament says the long silence over the alleged Sputnik vaccine scandal speaks volume. Kwamina Menta Akando tells TVXYZ News the attempt by chairman of the committee to mislead the public is disturbing, and her side of the House will launch a bipartisan investigations.
Ghanaians were first alerted about the shortchange by a popular Norwegian website. According to the leaked information, Ghana signed an agreement to purchase Sputnik vaccines manufactured and produced in Russia for $19 per dose instead of $10. The website www.vg.no alleges Minister of Health Kweku Ajimamenu approved the contract with the Emirati official who was involved in the sale of gas turbines in Ghana in a controversial Ameri deal, and another wanted Norwegian citizen. There has not been any official response denying the allegation more than 48 hours since the news broke. A brief statement issued by the Ministry of Health simply said it will respond at the appropriate time. Chairman of Parliament's Health Committee, Dr. Ayo Afriye, however, denies any wrongdoing.
There is nowhere in any country that you are going to get Sputnik dose, even at RDIF. That is responsible, even at their place.
So, Dr. Free, are you suggesting that, yes, there are struggles all over the place to try and get vaccines, that in spite of that, value for money doesn't matter?
As far as the people would want to investigate, they should get the size of the story. Go to the ministry now. They can give you agreements of about 4 or 5 companies. The lowest they have, I could mention the companies which I know, is $10.
But ranking member of the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Menta Akando, suspects foul play, especially because of the long silence. He accuses government of profiteering from the COVID-19 pandemic.
Especially when the ministry has released a press release, and the press release is empty, only telling you that, oh, be ready, we'll release another press release to tell you the issues. Why didn't you tell us the issue in the first press release? Are you going to conjure or cook or conjecture some stories and come in? And it's a very serious matter. This scandal is unprecedented. And it borders on the health of the people in the country. It borders on the pandemic. A pandemic that we didn't have money and we had to go outside this country to look for money. And all you are doing is that you are milking this situation. Eric, we have spent about 19 billion Ghana cedis as far as COVID-19 is concerned. And during the budget estimate, the minister responsible for health couldn't account for even 1 billion. All they could do was to account for 600 million Ghana cedis. And up till now, we don't know where the more than 19 billion Ghana cedis went to.
Kobna Menta Kando said the minority will immediately summon the health minister before the committee, after which they will demand a bipartisan investigation.
If you read the full story, they spoke to me, and I'm quoted in the story. And because I have nothing to hide, I told them what I knew about the whole thing. Okay? And so we are in touch with them. We are filing questions. We are pulling the minister to come and respond to those questions. Then from there, gathering all those facts and information, if it turns out to be true, there should be a bipartisan probe into the matter. It is a situation they are intentionally and deliberately creating. You know, during the first wave, they went to bed and waited for the second wave. And they did their own things. So they will tell you, we're not in normal times, then they rush and do things. Now, after the second wave, the minister has gone to bed, the president is going to bed. Don't forget that there was a first wave in India, there was a second wave, and there was a third wave. And the third wave was more severe.
Now, President Nana Akufo-Addo and his delegation who joined Burkina Base to mourn the 160 victims of last Saturday's terrorist attack are said to have traveled in the presidential jet. This is the first foreign trip after the controversy over the hiring of luxurious jet to France. His trip abroad became subject of public interest because of the motion filed by MP for North Tongue Samuel Okujeto-Ablakwa for answers to claims that the president and Ghana paid $15,000 per hour for the chartered luxurious airline that took him to France, Belgium, and South Africa at a total cost of 2.8 million cedis. Meanwhile, the president, who has since returned home, has launched the Ghana Enterprise Agency, formerly NBSSI, the National Micro, Small and Medium Scale Enterprise and Entrepreneurship Policy, as well as the GEA grant for SMEs under the Ghana Economic Transformation Project. Supported by the World Bank, the initiative, the first of its kind in Ghana, is designed to provide clear policy direction and opportunities for all actors within the micro, small and medium scale sectors of the economy. Now, let's turn attention to some other stories because critics say the National Security Assessment Report warning of possible violence in the near future because of the Electoral Commission's lost credibility in that the Secretariat itself because of the key role it played in manipulating the 2020 election result. Details are in the following report.
Obvious that if we don't all stand together, we risk the possibility that these terrorists will overrun our various states, and that we cannot allow to happen. It's important that at this difficult moment in the life of Burkina Faso, you know that you are not alone and that you have friends who will stand beside you, with you, to make sure that as soon as possible, we get rid of these people who are determined to destroy our way of life in our community.
And that was President Nana Akufo-Addo speaking at the launch of the Ghana Entrepreneurship Agency. Now, let's take you back to the story having to do with the National Security Report on EC's lost credibility. A further report. The assessment report by the National Security Secretariat, which warns of possible implosion following public mistrust of the Electoral Commission today, may not come as a surprise. Critics have long stated publicly that the manner in which the Supreme Court handled the election petition case had fueled more suspicions about EC's activities under Jane Mensah, Dr. Bosman Asari and other accomplices. National Security says political parties are now arming vigilante groups for violence that threatens the state's security. It says the National Risk Assessment indicates that mistrust in the electoral process itself is a major driver of this threat and risk of party political violence. The report cites NDC's threat and calls on the EC to investigate the source of the mistrust and deal with them. What is on record is how the EC is said to have clearly manipulated the voters' register with the connivance of the National Identification Authority. Outstanding issues about stuffed ballot boxes, manipulated parliamentary results, and NDC's position on the 2020 presidential elections. Senior lecturer at the Accra Technical University, Dr. Ibrahim Zubeiru, shares the views captured in the report. He blames part of the mistrust on how the Ayawaso West Wuogon violence was handled.
DSP, Azugu, and whatever. What happened to them? What happened to the national security guys? The people they wear or they gave uniforms as national security people to lay or unleash mayhem on the opponent at the Ayawaso West Wuogon. What happened to them? In this country, where have we seen military protecting electoral commissioner? Afarijan has gone, Charlotte Osha has gone. Other officers, we have Ahin, we have Amadou Sule, we have all those people who have worked with the electoral commission. Have you seen military guarding them? So what is the insecurity that led to electoral commission being guarded by the military? Not even civilian police who are supposed to protect the civilians. So what are you talking about? You don't know whether there are enforceable forces that were given uniform to wear and protect the woman. Nobody knows.
Dr. Zubeiru says national security itself is complicit and the manner in which the police is also being used to suppress the public speaks volumes.
Your tenure will finish. You go to retirement. When you go to retirement and then you come and join civilians, how do you want civilians to treat you? How do you want civilians to see you? But I was so sad about the utterances of our brother Kwesifori with the young people who wanted to demonstrate, to the extent that they brutalized a woman, an armed woman walking to court, and they say that per their security, what. It doesn't make sense. Because if you have a family, you have people. When you leave the police service, you become a civilian.
The sentiment of the National Security Secretariat is shared by the head of the United Nations Office for West Africa and the Sahel, Dr. Ibid Chambers. Now let's focus on entertainment and technology. Well, if you appreciate quality, then look out for the My HD Plus app embedded in the selected Samsung TV set in town for what the service providers describe as a feely experience with over 100 free-to-air channels. Now sit back and get details in the report. ESHD Plus, Ghana's premium high-definition satellite broadcast, has integrated its TV broadcast service into selected Samsung TVs using Nagres TV Key Cloud technology. Operated by My HD Plus app, the service offers users direct access to the HD Plus service straight out of the box as part of a new TV installation or through the existing App Store on compatible TVs. My HD Plus app also offers a feely experience with over 100 channels in SD with superior features such as a 7-day electronic programming include parental access control and logical channel numbering system, which makes it easier to locate channels since all channels have been assigned a permanent number and been arranged according to genres. According to General Manager of SESHD Plus, Theodore Asampong, the launch of My HD Plus app on Samsung TV will be the first on the African continent. The cloud-based direct-to-TV security solutions bring encrypted TV services directly to internet-connected smart TVs.
Going forward, since Multimedia Group has the rights for the Euro, we've partnered with them to allow us to show the semi-finals and the final of the Euro 2020 in 4K ultra high definition, a first in Africa, in Ghana as well. High definition is 5 times the picture quality of standard definition. Okay, and 4K takes you even higher. So 4K is now maybe 8 times HD. So it's actually much higher, crispier. You get the feeling that you're there. You get the feeling experience.
HD Plus, the first in Africa, is in partnership between Ghana's biggest and most reliable consumer electronics and appliances distributor, Electroland Ghana Limited, digital TV division of the Kudelski Group, NAGRA, indigenous international telecom provider, teleport operator and system integrator, KNET, as well as the multimedia group. National sales manager at Electroland Ghana, Vincent Tanzambio, believes the product brings a new resolution to TV viewing, especially sports fanatics, to watch the last 3 matches of the Euro 2020 in 4K.
This partnership is a historic one. It is going to revolutionize TV viewing in this country, and it just happens to coincide with our Euro promo, where we have selected the UHD 4K TVs on promotion, as well as QLED TVs. Now these TVs are the TVs that will enable you download the app, that you'll be able to watch the last 3 matches of the Euros on it. History is about to be made. I urge you not to miss out on it. Walk into any Electroland showroom across the nation and get yourself a UHD 4K TV or a QLED TV.
Meanwhile, Samsung says it is hopeful the new deal will increase its sales on the market. Benjamin Efrifa is head of consumer electronics at Samsung Ghana.
The Ghanaian customer can get to now understand what we've been talking about, the best in sound output, the best in picture quality, realism as it should be, TV as should be. So yes, for us, we expect this to be a game changer for us to expand our sales beyond what it is now.
General Manager of KNET assured the public of world-class viewing pleasure.
KNET as a technology service provider shares in the commitment to exploit the synergy of partnering to provide world-class services which are in step with the best in the world. This is why we are in partnership with HD Plus to bring good experience, to bring Ghanaians up to date and beyond, because this service is going to be on satellite and should be available in the whole of West Africa and maybe beyond.
SCS HD Plus Ghana Limited is a subsidiary of SE, the leading global content connectivity solution provider. Apart from offering over 100 FTA channels in standard definitions, SCSH Plus Ghana is collaborating with Adom TV, Joy Prime, GTV, UTV, Joy News, GH1 Television, Metro TV, TV XYZ, City TV, Angel TV, and 1H to deliver their content in high definition quality. There are 4 subscription packages available: 7 CDs for a week, 25 CDs for a month, 60 CDs for 3 months, and an annual package that costs 210 CDs. So beginning tomorrow, you can begin to have the feely experience with my HD Plus. And that's all time will allow us morning for news in brief for morning update. As always, do log on to my xyzonline.com for more news stories. Good morning.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Microfinance. Growing with you.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah.
Always brave, fresh, natural, eggs, mineral, water.
Still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
If I cry na menyisika, etia ye mefui.
Ehin papa na menya bosia edi atre medjuma yimu.
Kai kra mabre mi yebusia ato taxi fufu. Suhum Rural Bank.
Suhum Rural Bank.
Yamamwa kwa baba Suhum Rural Bank. Ya wonhyehyɛ ya hodo bi te sɛ dwadifo abosia, ekoko bosia, susu account. And it does all savings account. Me bada chain savings account. And then the keka home. Suhum Rural Bank was 03422918896. Now one so what to me aka say.
Suhum Rural Bank. Ama ene mayeka una.
Suhum Rural Bank. Enti me pa minie.
Suhum Rural Bank. Growing our heritage.
Kafa ya humbia enwa na bebem inti no de otamfo no pese ebem no embem ewo yesterday. Good morning to you. This is the morning update on TV XYZ. We are the social segment where we discuss matters arising, issues that bothers you and me at the same time. Now today we will be talking about food safety. On Monday, actually 7th of June, was the World Food Safety Day that was commemorated to talk about foodborne diseases and to help people keep their food safely. And Pembebre obeda sorry ebia na when around stomach on TSA or by a road Nebeco hospital, yes, we have infection, but they can't actually identify what infection it is. Obekom maybe or could be school and I say, Unifia no be managed. They be all cry, wow, Adrian, I would demand on the crown and alcohol and so at the Abreno now is a World Bank has an information out there that says $7.4 billion dollars is how much a country spends annually when it comes to production losses and also overburdening of health systems when it comes to foodborne diseases. And this is something it is very important that we talk about. And then many FDA, Madam Irabna Ebetutrin and Komoroda Irabna, only Ebetutrin Komona wa church yati as food safety no is a collective responsibility of the government, the producer, and also the consumer. But we bizarre say in a amount of meeting so the government dear woman or anything. You better hello, good morning, madam.
Good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
We are doing fine. And thank you for the opportunity to do this morning.
Thank you for talking to us. Could you kindly position yourself properly? Your line is breaking up.
Unfortunately, I'm in a vehicle driving.
Okay.
Is it better now?
Yes, I think so.
All right. Okay.
Right. So I did say, I mentioned something about food safety being a collective responsibility of the government. And in this sense, when we talk of the government, it extends to the FDA. So could you kindly take us through the responsibility of the FDA with regards to food safety?
All right. Okay. So Thank you so much for this opportunity. Just as you mentioned earlier on, Monday, 7th June commemorated the World Food Safety Day celebrations around the world. And Ghana, with the support of the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN and the WHO, as well as the Food and Drug Authority, commemorated the day. The theme for this year's celebration is Safe Food Today for a Healthy Tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
And the FDA has been commemorating this day each year solely because it is our primary responsibility as mandated by the Public Health Act 2002, Act 851. And as part of our mainline activities, we have to regulate the importation, the manufacturing, the marketing and sale of food and drugs. Our primary aim is to ensure that the food we consume are of good quality and are safe. And in the case of drugs, they are also efficacious. So as the world tries to draw our attention on this day, we stop to look at it from the lenses of the One Health approach, where we look at all the players involved in helping to achieve total health and well-being for everyone, in this case, everyone who lives in Ghana. So as part of the celebrations, we had the keynote speaker who gave an expose on the theme itself, and it became very clear that it's unlike nutritional issues. Food safety has been relegated to the background. Also, it claims the lives of so many people each day. Statistics have shown that about 600 million people suffer from foodborne illnesses each year, and in the case of Africa, over 91 million people. Now, you say, oh, this is just a statistic, but it's actually about people, and these numbers are about you and I, and children as well. So, as part of the many discussions and public education that we have been running so far, our aim is to get the Ghanaian public to understand that health safety or food safety is really your responsibility. Studies have shown that presently over 75% of the population have outsourced our nutritional and food needs outside. We no more eat from the house. We eat from restaurants, from vendors here and there, breakfast, lunch, and supper. And so it's about time we look at how these vendors are being educated to understand the issues of food safety and preservation and all, so that they'll be able to take care of the population and keep us healthy and strong. We also reflected on the fact that food supply is actually a very comprehensive chain, and so we need to approach it from farm to fork, where we think about the production lines of food production. In the case of the agro products we have, we need to be thinking about the chemicals that are used to spray these food products, how they are stored, how they are harvested, how they are stored, how they are transported to even the market, and how they are prepared for us to enjoy. And that's where our job comes in very much relevant, because it is our core responsibility to ensure that the foods that we consume are properly are analyzed and tested and approved. And in this case, we do that by registering these products, especially those that are brought into the country. We expect that the general publication, the population, will be on the side of caution. When we are consuming these products, packaged foods, we should ensure that at least they have been approved by the regulatory authority, in the case of Ghana FDA. We need to look out for these registration numbers and all. Again, we need to be cautious of expiration dates. More often, we just are so much in a hurry, and we may not want to pay attention to some of these things. Even the same products, milk and tomato paste and all that. Sometimes the tin itself is dented, and it exposes the food that is contained in these things to be poisoned before we even take them in. And all manner of other practices in our home. The practice of refrigerating food items must be done in such a way that they are properly put in clean containers. We cannot store fresh food items like meat with pastries. We can't do that with cooked rice and chicken and all that. We need to compartmentalize our refrigerators and make sure that there's no cross-contamination at all. Even in our local environment, sometimes we finish eating our meals and then we leave the utensils for the next day before we get our children to wash them. We need to make sure that as families, we clean our kitchen before we go to bed, because while we are in bed, the cockroaches and all that are having a full day in our home, contaminating the food we might have left on the cooktop and all.
Okay.
So, admonition is for us to take Titan to the next level. Time we take food safety to the next level of this in the area of governance as well.
Right. Now, Rhoda, Rhoda, can you hear me? Hello?
Come again.
Yeah, so as we are still talking about responsibilities, do you have foot soldiers on the ground that actually go to these women who sell by the roadside to ensure that they have the necessary or they have passed through the necessary processes to be able to sell what they are selling? Or how often does the FDO go on the street to see how clean the places that the people are cooking for us is?
Yeah. Okay, so we have a department that is committed to post-market surveillance, and all that the staff there do is to go out there. We work very closely with the district assembly, in this case the local government. So we inspect the environment. We have a project called the Street Food Initiative, and we work very closely with the assemblies to inspect what do you call it? The cards, the health cards that they issue to these vendors. Each vendor is supposed to go to the health screening every year and be given a card. We make sure these people have it. We educate them about their environment and all. But more importantly, in the market, we conduct raids. We do our regular public education. Even 2 weeks ago, I was in Dodoa market to do public education, but we also run unannounced visits to the market where which we call raids, and in that case we just go into shops and do a random check of the products we have on sale. Those that are expiring and all that, we take them and ensure the safe disposal of them, and it's something we do not only in the market, in the supermarket, even for the pharmacy, because we do in drugs as well.
Right.
But now regulation is moving from institutions to people. So we want to empower the population to conduct their own self-regulation. If you are buying the item, just be on the side of caution. And yet, if you buy something and you realize there are some defaults with them, we have a very robust complaint system where you come and file a complaint. You use the information you give to us as a lead to go to the shop to take in more samples for testing and even conduct further investigations all the way to the warehouse that might have brought those items in. Sometimes they are not because the item itself is unwholesome, but because of poor storage facilities. Sometimes these fruit juices go bad and all that. So we keep admonishing the public to help us to be able to locate some of these places and ensure that the best practices are adhered to.
Right.
In terms of policy, I need to mention that we have put in place the food safety emergency response plan, and also there's a food safety policy document that is coming out. It's not, like you mentioned, it's not the responsibility of one institution in the country, in this case FDA alone. There are many other partners we want to collaborate with to be able to achieve these objectives. And in case of any outbreak, there should be a very quick response to tackle the issues. The institutions of learning are also increasing their training provisions, such that more and more caterers are being given training in food safety, because what is the point in going for a very joyous occasion, maybe a wedding or even a funeral, and then you come back with food that is unwholesome? You come and take it and then you fall ill and all. So these measures are going to be put in place, and people will, these measures are going to be properly regulated going forward as these documents are adapted for use and implementation.
So, before we wrap up, quickly, in our own homes, top milk, those homes are almost need refrigerators, and I say by my light of ubelsa in so now with the milk in sim, not just all the paper be a how do we store our foods properly at home? Where Mr. Yankan will trim not just say obia intimate and benefited from conversation, no.
That's all. Your friend will be a mental poisoning. And nothing I say, dear, what's an anoa? Because I should hear the bray, sardine, think my milk, I won't come once a minute. What feeling of her? After 2 days, I was going to be really use this. I only afraid that I won't describe here because what is the one now? What do you think? You tell me there, what do you think? I'm waiting to me for every and that year. But oxidation has started cause war tin introducing microorganisms within a short time. You see, and then you go okay, the money is not without the use to also that is your also the shape people so say and member necessary and essentially actually. It's within 2 days, the Nanka was no feeling a war no man. Why use to Manasa? Since letters here, there's maybe I cut it. Why are you singing now? In fact, any since letters mark and is separate, you need now to go contain and move summer. Not cut us so, and some out there shall free the more prefer. Let's say about the important and can they have capacity freezing side, you know. Say freezer and casa. So I'm not doing. Emma and more be a new every book. And see, food safety is something there, and say, a dose in bread my fire, your best studio now, you're near to watch it. New man getting Kakara, you're destined to one a more now, your boy and who by a dear no one around Kaka. I will for a thought drink the mom or Marco's soup. Drink because I walk back, I won't know that. And so, what to all their shackle and the bathroom. I ask how I don't push it. Over the crowd, there's no crying, and near their master, or better to the ban. Now, teacher send a young gastrointestinal infections and another aging. Yesterday, I'm combined boys, I won't run so. Prevented a lot of infections any year. You see, though COVID may be signs are rare, but in Subaya, the boy, and Uber washing the Baronsa, and Southern Radio and Laurons, Uber the Uber. Yeah, it's our Roman part and parcel of that. Never born. Ama, good health and safety for ourselves.
Yeah, Rhoda, thank you so much for talking to us. It's been very educational. And as you have indicated, your bumpire say me do about studio not just a church here for and be and so. Thank you. I was talking to Madam Rhoda Rabina Apia. She is the head of public communications and education at the Food and Drugs Authority. Watch her and I hope say OPK back one I said me and be our conversation. This, of course, is a social segment on the morning update on TV XYZ. My name Nana Abena Sewa Erica Hiano is taking over.
I love makeup. Applying it gives me so much joy. But when it's time to take it off, nothing does the job quite like the Black Secret Makeup Wipes. When I go somewhere and I feel really sweaty, I take my Black Secret wipe and I use it on my face. It picks me up and I don't look as tired as I did when I walked in.
Before I work on a client's face, I like to go over it with Black Secret makeup wipes to make sure the face is clean. It doesn't leave the face dry and tight, but it keeps it soft and moisturized.
Wipes say your bodo. Barcope, and it gets the job done. Or baby, and the smell makes the experience even better.
Welcome to AutoCheck Vehicle Diagnostic and Licensing Center.
I hear my car can be checked here without going to so many hour crap.
Sure.
Emission, check.
Alignment, check.
Brakes, check.
Visit AutoChecks at Koforodia Aquadum Road for the roadworthiness of your vehicle, from saloon cars to heavy-duty industrial vehicles. Madam, your car is now ready for the road.
Thank you so much. AutoChecks, check.
AutoChecks, your safety, our priority. AutoChecks.
The average human body mass should have at least 60% water for optimal performance in any physical or mental exercise. We can help you maintain it naturally. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural. Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For our Kwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
Welcome back. This is TVXYZ. You are following us on YouTube and Facebook. I've now had an interesting conversation. I liked the food I saw on TV. And I know what taxi drivers like most. Banku Ninkruman Kwine. But that food, I saw Banku Kakra and krumankwan and beans, and then I saw pepper, hot pepper, and then I saw wele and other things. But yes, we will enjoy the food. But one lesson is be careful about where you buy your food, what you eat, and even if it is fresh vegetables, where you bought it and how it was actually prepared. There was also another element that suggested that the vegetables that come onto the market, some of them are oversprayed with chemicals. And the last lesson is that wakwala now didn't go school. If you're a parent, so be sure, because sometimes chemicals and the colors be at the afra and to banana now wakunya yadebi. So when we talk about food safety, it's huge, and it's something we have to remind ourselves with on daily basis. This morning, George Opare Ado is a lawyer. He's the National Youth Organizer of the NDC. Today, NDC is 29 years. He's with me in the studio. George, you are welcome.
Thank you.
How is the NDC 29 years, and what are you planning to do today?
Let me say good morning to your viewers and take this opportunity to wish every...
I'm sure your voice is huge.
Let me take this opportunity to wish the National Democratic Congress, which I serve as its youth organizer, happy birthday. And also say a very big thank you to our founding fathers, those who had a vision and a dream to start up or to set up the NDC as a political organization. 29 years.
They all can still confront you.
29 years in the life of any political organization is huge, especially coming on the backdrop of what President Kufuor said in 2001, not President Kufuor, but people like J.H. Mensah and Co., when they said that by the time they were done with the NDC would have collapsed and will not even be...
I'll come to that. We are not really making this a major topic, but let me also welcome Kwesi Kwarteng. Kwesi Kwarteng is a member of the NPP's National Communications team. Kwesi, how are you?
I'm fine. A very good morning.
Yes, it's been a while.
Yeah, I'm around, and good morning to Pablo and all your viewers.
Yes, and he's talking about NDC and he's talking about Kufuor's Obegu party. No?
I didn't know why he wanted to play politics with it. No, but you are celebrating your 29th year.
You said you were going to make sure we're extinct and we are still alive.
No, I'm saying that if you are celebrating your 29th anniversary, I mean, we just, of course, call some of your achievements out. We celebrate you and a clap for you. And then we remind you that most of the challenges that you are facing as a people is because of you. Because it's some great elements in your party that's actually jettisoning the constitution a lot of times. And you know the implications of jettisoning the constitution. He is aware. In reality, it takes us back at least 5 to 10 years. And so, at least, whilst we celebrate you, we must also remind ourselves of where we are coming from.
Kwarteng doesn't know the history.
I'm saying that
Kwarteng doesn't know the history of this country.
Come on, you know.
But if he knows the history of this country and what the UP tradition, his founding fathers, have done to this country, you will not make those things.
UP tradition committed the 79 coup.
The
3 successive schools.
Your founding father, JB Dampa.
So let's move on. Let's move on. I asked you a question. I said, do you have any activity planned for today?
Yes, today. At 11 o'clock, we'll be having a flag hoisting ceremony at the party office. And also, we'll be having a photo exhibition. You know, because of COVID, most of our actions are limited. So most of these things will be via virtual. But almost every leading member of the party will be at the party office to participate in these activities.
Okay, so today we have 2.5 topics. That's how I want to put it. The first one is what is trending. The Sputnik vaccines. $10, $19, perhaps lesser. Why is government not officially issuing a statement? Why is the statement is half-baked and so on? The Norwegian at the center of the publication of this story and the revelation that is raising eyebrows has spoken to one of the TV stations in Accra, TV3 to be specific. I want us to listen to him. It's a 1-minute video. After that, we will begin our conversation, and in the course of our conversation, again, we'll be listening to the minority side of Parliament. I'm making reference to the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kobna Menta Kando, has also been speaking what the minority will do and the interest they have in the story. So let's listen to the Norwegian now.
point here is, of course, that Ghana has been buying at an even higher markup from that again, like $19 per dose, which put it at $38 per full vaccine. And then you have to add in the cost of the logistics, like basically movement and storage, which I think the Ghana Health Service estimates at around $3 per dose. So that's puts it at a total of $44 per vaccine. We quote Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta, who gives a reason for why Ghana would accept such a deal, even at an overpriced range. Like, I ask him, do you consider it a reasonable deal? And he says, I don't know, but you're left in a situation where the good guys in the West aren't giving you vaccines. You have lives to save. What do? It's easy to sit somewhere else and say, why are you doing?
So that was the Norwegian. He tried to speak to all the parties involved. In fact, I spoke to the ranking member on the Committee of Health yesterday, and Kobna Minta Kando tells me that this journalist spoke to him as well. For the sake of your interest, knowing what those directly involved are saying, I want us to listen to Kobna Minta Kando, and then my panelists will be in a better position to digest what we are talking about.
We are not talking about who is bidding what and who is quoting what. We are talking about an agreement between the Ghana government, an already signed agreement between Ghana government and another foreign company. So we've gone past the issue of quotations, okay? And what is revealing is that the Sputnik is not supposed to be sold for more than $10 per dose. This is what is emerging, and these are the issues. And so, if any country buys it more than $10, then there's a short change. And in fact, what we have picked up is that Ghana government is buying it at $19 per dose. So these are the issues. As far as we are concerned, and I sit on the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, when the minister appeared before the committee, we approved an amount of $10 per dose for the minister. We asked specific questions. Where he was going to get the vaccines from, he said he was going to go to the open market. And per our rules in the House, if you engage or if you sign an agreement with any foreign company, you must come back to Parliament. The minister cannot sit in his office and sign, foreign agreements. You must come to Parliament for the approval. Okay? And so, if we are picking information that the minister has gone ahead to sign an agreement with a foreign company and that they are quoting that $19 per dose, the first question is that who approved that $19 per dose in the first place? Is it Parliament? Does it stop there? It doesn't. And the second question is that the actual, even if the actual price was $19 and nobody is being shortchanged, you still have to come to Parliament because there's a change in what you told Parliament. You can't take the decision alone. You still have to come back to Parliament.
So at this stage, what would the minority demand?
So what we are demanding, number one, we want to get all the facts. We are inviting the minister to appear on the floor of the House and at the committee level, and we're asking specific questions. If all these informations we are picking turns out to be true, which of course they are hesitating to respond, because today I have picked the information that the minister has come out and the content of their letter or their release is as empty as they have not said anything.
You are speaking to the press release.
Yes, it's empty.
Respond at the appropriate time.
In fact, it's empty. The time they wasted in putting those alphabets together, they should have used the productive time to bring appropriate response to the issues that has been raised. What are they hiding? That they are taking it. It's taking them so long.
So you think it's a yes or no response?
It's fantastic.
We have not bought or we bought.
We have not bought. We don't even have any agreement with any foreign company. It is not true. We're not buying it at $19 per.
This thing does it raise suspicion?
Yes, of course. Especially when the ministry has released a press release And the press release is empty, only telling you that, oh, be ready, we'll release another press release to tell you the issues. Why didn't you tell us the issue in the first press release? Are you going to conjure or cook or conjecture some stories and come and tell us?
In the wake of this suspicion, will the minority liaise or contact what has been prescribed as a tabloid in Norway, which put out this information?
In fact,
to get a
if you read the full story, they spoke to me, and I'm quoted in the story. And because I had nothing to hide, I told them what I knew about the whole thing. Okay, and so we are in touch with them. We are filing questions. We are pulling the minister to come and respond to those questions. Then from there, gathering all those facts and information, if it turns out to be true, there should be a bipartisan probe into the matter. And it's a very serious matter. This scandal is unprecedented, and it borders on the health of the people in the country. It borders on the pandemic, a pandemic that we didn't have money and we had to go outside this country to look for money. And all you are doing is that you are milking this situation. Eric, we have spent about 19 billion Ghana cedis as far as COVID-19 is concerned. And during the budget estimate, the minister responsible for health couldn't account for even 1 billion. All they could do was to account for 600 million Ghana cedis. And up till now, we don't know where the more than 19 billion Ghana cedis went to. It is a situation they are intentionally and deliberately creating. You know, during the first wave, they went to bed and waited for the second wave. And they did their own things. So they will tell you, we're not in normal time, then they rush and do things. Now, after the second wave, the minister has gone to bed, the president is going to bed. Don't forget that there was a first wave in India, there was a second wave, and there was a third wave. And the third wave was more severe. There wasn't any family in India that was not affected. That was how dangerous and severe it was. Okay? Now, at least, the numbers have been decreasing for some time now. What have we been doing? Have you heard even an advert on the radio or on the TV sensitized?
So that was the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Menta Akando. Yesterday I spoke to him in the evening, and that is his narrative on this controversy over priced Sputnik vaccines. I'm in the studio with Kwesi Kwating, who is a member of the NPP's National Communication Team, and then Jojo Paradu, all of us know him very well, National Youth Organizer of the NDC, who is in his regalia because they are celebrating their 29th anniversary. At the tail end, we'll talk about the NDC. But first, what do you make of this development?
Nobody should be surprised in the first place. There is a government that has profited off COVID. This is a government, I call them COVID merchants, right from the word go. This is a government that up to date have not been able to give to the Ghanaian people accounts of how they expended our COVID funds. This is a government that we know is notorious for pilfering and stealing from the ordinary Ghanaian. So nobody should be surprised. This morning, I have cited another statement from the Ministry of Health, signed by the Chief Director, that admits that they paid $19. He's giving some background, that they could not get a vaccine on the market, the government could not negotiate with the foreign ministry, could not secure a deal with the Russian government, so they had to go through a name that is associated with Ameri, El Matuk something. They had to go through them and then negotiate at an initial cost of $25, and now they had to negotiate and then come down to $19. It speaks to two things. The first thing is failure on the part of government. If a government of a whole republic, a sovereign nation like Ghana, cannot negotiate with another government to secure vaccines, then this government has no business being in power. Because what it simply means is that even other sovereign nations do not trust them. If that explanation is correct, because I don't know how it has been agreed by the world that this vaccine, because of the nature of the pandemic and how it is devastating and ravishing the world, this should be the standard price that everybody should buy the vaccine for. and that government should deal with governments. There are organizations, the WHO and what have you, deal with them and then make sure that you get your supplies. And then our government goes onto the market and comes back to tell us that he could not get the vaccine, so it had to go through a third party to secure at an outrageous price, and they didn't even find it prudent, knowing the laws of this country, because they have no respect for our laws. If they do have respect for our laws, there is no way they would have gone onto the market themselves without recourse to Parliament when Parliament had approved $10 per vaccine. I've also cited a letter from the Ministry of Finance instructing the Comptroller and Accountant General to raise a letter of credit of $13 million. It is equivalent of 74-point-something million Ghana cedis, so that 5 million vaccines could be procured. There is too much controversy in what has happened in this instance. The first letter that came out from the Ministry of Health was sad. Sad in the sense that, like what Honorable Akando said, if you have any response and it is not an afterthought, immediately the matter came out. You should have put out your response. But you don't first issue a response and tell us that at a later date, you'll come back and tell us exactly what you want to put out.
Okay, so George, I'll come back to you. You've done virtually about 5 minutes in your opening remarks. So I'll give the same to Kwesi Kwarteng. Kwesi, he's raised a number of...
Waiting for his apple. If you permit me.
Apparently, our party did not even provide speaking notes today. Because, I mean, these are non-issues.
Okay.
And to me, if you ask me, they are speculative, unfounded, and cannot be ascertained as absolute truth.
A statement from the Ministry
of Health.
We'll subject the issues to further discussion. So let's allow him to make his 5 minutes.
Speculative, unfounded arguments. And at the end of the day, you need to interrogate some of these claims that have been made. I mean, what is the point? The point is about a Norwegian newspaper which has reported that government probably purchased these Sputnik vaccines at a much higher price than the price on the market. And so if you want to probably rely on such statement as an absolute truth, we cannot probably, I don't know what we'll be doing as a state. What we need to probably do as a people is to interrogate some of these statements or claims when it comes. We are in this country when we heard, I mean, the likes of WikiLeaks telling us that former President Rawlings was suffering from Parkinson. It turned out not to be accurate. We've also heard the instances where a newspaper has published statements that a government official one was involved in some shady deals. It also turned out that we'll have to investigate some of these claims. I mean, these claims can go on back and forth. There were instances where Forbes of oil itself alleged that former President Rawlings was one of the richest former heads of state in Africa. It also turned out not to be true. And so my question is, where are we rushing to? If we want to rely solely that whatever the newspaper is saying is sacred, then probably there is no even need for further investigation into the matter. A newspaper has alleged, so far as I'm concerned, as at yesterday in the evening, the ministry came with a response. And the response was that they will release their statement appropriately. I do not see why we should rush in this. Oparado is saying that why is it that the ministry is taking time to respond to it? I am not sure Oparado wants to tell us that the ministry should just come out with any other statement, especially when in the process the ministry engage with all stakeholders, and those stakeholders, there have to be conversation to come out with one statement with regards to everybody's role that they played in the procurement of the vaccines. And so that argument is even not tenable in the first place. What I'm saying is that these are allegations that has come from newspapers. It could be true, it could not be true. As a people, what we need to do is first of all to call for a statement from the ministry. After, because George is a lawyer and he knows the right of natural justice, that if you accuse somebody of anything, you have to give the person right of fair hearing. And so as of now, Oparado just sent me a statement. I cannot validate or confirm the authenticity of such statement. I mean, you don't just bring up documents on the show and you expect me to validate it. So far as I'm concerned, you and I are aware that yesterday the ministry came out that they will release a response appropriately at the appropriate time. And so let's wait for the ministry's response. If it turns out that it conflicts with what the Norwegian newspaper is saying, then we have every right to question them. And again, not only question them, but we must call for an independent or bipartisan investigation into the matter. I'll be the first person to call for the minister's head if we realize that something untoward was happening. And we need to protect the taxpayers' money. And that was what the President Akufo-Addo promised whilst he was coming into office. And so for me, we do not need to rush. We do not need to jump ahead of the gun. We do not need to be prejudicial. We will just have to get on the ministry, compel the ministry to come out with their statement, their side of the story, as the principles of natural justice dictates. If it comes out that something untoward has happened, we'll be it. Then we call for probably investigation and prosecution accordingly. Okay, so for now, we are unable to make a conclusive statement.
At this stage, I'll take brief rebuttals, then I'll ask follow-up questions. So, George.
Are you not surprised at Kwesi's approach in answering a very simple question, citing WikiLeaks, dragging in a government official one and former President Rawlings and what have you? Are you not surprised? Those are the same people who cannot even tell us, those who are in charge of conducting tests at the airports, the COVID test. Those are the same people. 3 different ministers went before Parliament's vetting committee, and none of them had access to the official documents of a contract that was signed between the government of Ghana and a private company that is conducting COVID tests at our airports. This is the same group of people. Let me tell you, and I am surprised if he speaks for government or if he speaks for the MPP, then I am telling him that yesterday, by the close of business yesterday, the ministry had come out with a 11-point response. So if he is not aware of it, I have a copy here. I've just sent it to him. While I am talking,
which ones stand out and makes it?
It confirms that they are buying the vaccine for $19. So the Norwegian journalist or portal or site did not lie. It says that they signed that agreement with the Norwegian. Where is it? Against this backdrop of non-response, that is point 6.
Yeah.
Against the backdrop of non-response from direct channels and global shortages of the vaccine.
It looks like the nose mask is preventing, so I would suggest you remove it. I've taken my double shots. I know you have taken yours. Kasa.
It's not a Sputnik. Against the backdrop of non-response from direct channels and global shortages of the vaccine, the Ministry of Health on 9th March 2021 responded to an offer from the private office of H.H. Sheikh Ahmed Damok Al Matuku of the United Arab Emirates for the supply of a total quantity of 3.4 million doses of Sputnik V vaccines at a unit cost of $19.
That's the Ministry of Finance.
That is the Ministry of Health. I also have a document from the Ministry of Finance instructing the Controller and Accountant General to make $13 million available. They should issue a letter of credit to that tune. So my brother here is late in the day. Maybe he doesn't know what is happening. But I am telling him on authority that this letter is coming from your ministry, from our Ministry of Health, signed by the Chief Director. Let me get you his name. Kwabna Buedu Oku Aferi, Chief Director. So it is coming from them. So he cannot say that they are not buying the vaccine at $19. It is
so when Kwabna Mintah Akando spoke,
he spoke earlier on in the day.
He created an impression that perhaps it is being stage managed so that people can profiteer from the buying of the vaccine. But the truth also lies in there that many countries in Africa are still struggling to get access.
It's a bit of a challenge because the world has agreed that this pandemic knows no boundaries. This virus is out there and it's causing serious havoc to everybody. So nobody should profit off this. Rich democracies are even buying them. This morning, President Biden has secured a deal of buying 500 million doses to give to poor countries. We know what the COVAX Association organization has done in supplying us with this AstraZeneca. We know what, not too long ago, just last week or early this week, 100 former presidents and prime ministers of Africa,
including President John Mahama,
have appealed that rich countries should come to the aid of Africa. So if I live in France and then I pay my taxes to the French government and I know what my government is doing, and then I get to hear that, or let me use the Norwegian guy, because Norway, Denmark, this Scandinavian countries, they are one of the biggest donors to Africa. Then I get to hear that with all that we are doing, a certain group of people in Africa called the NPP, the Chobo administration governments, are busy putting out advertisements and looking for private people on the private markets so that they can make profits off a drug that should be sold at a certain price, a controlled price. I would definitely be worried.
That is how. When you use the word trouble, are you not being too harsh on them?
How can it be too harsh when we know that Parliament approved $10? You see, maybe they've done nothing untoward, but the mere fact that they've not gone through the proper channels to seek the requisite approvals becomes suspicious. And I've given you an example of what is happening at our airports. Minister after minister, the health minister, who is the current, who was the minister then and is still the minister now, does not even know how the agreement was signed with, I don't want to mention it because it's a private company, how the agreement was signed with that company. The foreign minister said she was not aware, even the finance minister was holding details. They don't want to put out the details. Meanwhile, this company is charging $150 for non-Ghanaians. Until ECOWAS intervened, everybody was paying $150. A test that in other jurisdictions costs less than $30.
Okay, so just stop there. The conversation has not ended. Now, he's used some strong words to summarize what reflects the anger towards this revelation. How do you respond to that?
Okay, very well. I think it will amount to a very simplistic argument to suggest that because countries like America and probably other superpower nations wants to procure vaccines for these developing countries, it means, hold on, I didn't interrupt you. It means that everything is well and that the vaccines are not in scarce and other things. Because, for instance, if you look at the politics of it, especially the international politics relative to the vaccine production and supply or distribution to third world countries, initially, there was a conversation about whether or not even patency could be broken so that developing countries and other countries could at least manufacture some of these vaccines. You had the likes of Angela Merkel and co. from Germany strongly aligning with some of these EU countries and opposing it strictly and very with a high resistance. And so to paint a picture as though developed countries are making the vaccines free and the vaccines are not scarce and that you can just go into the market and like probably you enter into Makwala market and just get the vaccine, it's a very simplistic argument. That is the first thing. Again, Opayado makes suggestion as though the hypothesis that he is making is an absolute hypothesis, especially when he isolates only portions of the statement, the supposed statement, that is even for the purpose of this conversation. We even want to align that the document that he's brought is indeed from the ministry.
No, but you have a copy of the document. As we speak, I have a copy of the directive from the finance ministry which made reference to amounts to be released. And if you look at this letter released in April 2021 and signed by one Patrick Nomo, the chief director at the Ministry of Finance for the minister, it says, number 2, if I'm sure I showed it to you before the program, it says you are hereby kindly requested to arrange with the Bank of Ghana to establish irrevocable letters of credit to the tune of $13 million. And it goes ahead to say to pay for the supply of 1 million doses of COVID-19 vaccines, being the first batch of doses to be procured between March and June 2021. And it goes ahead that the amount $30 million being the equivalent of 74 million cedis, that's 74.492 million cedis, is when converted, and it goes ahead to say should be paid on account and will be regularized when the appropriation bill is passed and assented to. By this letter, the Chief Director, Ministry of Health, is being informed that any unforeseen changes that should arise because of the transaction will be charged to the Ministry's Health 2021 Goods and Services budget. That's the statement.
Okay, so I think, again, it's a simplistic argument. I do not know the correlation between a credit facility of $13 million and a unit price of a drug of, say, $19. It is possible for you to release $13 million and still get it at even less than $10. And so the fact that you've seen a document supposedly saying
I thought that he had read a statement.
No, these are two different statements.
The ministry admitted that they were buying the product for $19.
That is allegedly
and the
from the
ministry
Ministry of
also
Health.
explained why they were going for the $19.
I'm coming. He read a statement supposedly coming from the Ministry of Health relative to, the explanation on the whether or not it was $19 or not. And you are reading a statement from the Finance Ministry that is calling for credit facility of $13 million. And I'm asking that these are two separate statements. The fact that $13 million have been released for a project does not necessarily mean that then we use $19 to purchase one.
I'm saying that
it is possible.
This letter was released only yesterday.
No, I am saying that
this one was in April, and this amount is this letter is directing Bank of Ghana to make available.
It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that we bought it at $19.
So that amount has been released, and the ministry is saying that we have gone to negotiate for a product that will sell for $19 instead of the $10 we are talking about.
I am saying that.
How do you draw the correlation?
That's why I'm saying that. First of all, it is a simplistic argument. You cannot sustain an argument that because $13 million was released from the Ministry of Finance, it means by default that the product was bought at $19 per unit. And I'm saying that such is a simplistic argument. Of course, you can't try to create a correlation. But I admitted here that whatever statement that you brought, it could be true. And then with regards to the statement that Operabli just showed, having a conversation about whether or not the drug was bought at $19, I am saying that I am unable to validate it. But of course, I'll make my checks. But I'm even saying that even with the hypothesis that he is making, he cannot just isolate one paragraph of the statement without giving a background or premise even on which the ministry based on to purchase the drug at $19 per one vaccine. That is even the conversation or the argument he's even making is even true in the first place. And I'm saying that you even have to look at some of these explanations that has been given relative to the purchase. Again, he initially gave a premise as though the drugs are something that they are like tomatoes, you go to the markets and just pick it. And I'm saying that it is not true. If you recall, initially Ghana were scheduled to receive our first vaccine around March or so. And it came even late February. Between March, where Ghanaians took the first dose, we're expecting that within the next 3 weeks, they take their second dose. I cannot get the exact figures, but if you recall, it took over 2 months before it came. What could be the logical reason for that? The only logical reason,
reference to the COVAX vaccines.
Yes, even that one, which was even free. What it meant was that globally there was shortage. You understand? And so if globally there was shortage, it means that, these are basic economic principles, demand and supply. If there is higher demands and you cannot meet the supply, certainly the price is going to go up. And so I'm saying that, first of all, I cannot validate the statements that Opare just read. And even if for the purpose of this conversation, even if I have to even speak to it just for the purpose of this conversation, you will not have to read just portions in isolation.
But you have it. So why don't you read portions that satisfy the argument you are making?
Yes, that's why I'm saying that you have to read it in complement with the premise that has been given. And the premise was the fact that there were shortage. The premise was the fact that there were several consultations that was made between the government of Ghana and even the Prime Minister of Russia and other key stakeholders, which they were failing. And of course, Russia produced the drug and they hope to make profit from it. And so it is very natural and normal in business sense that sometimes, even if you are if it is
normal, if it is normal, you speak. If it is normal, I don't think anybody will be worried that instead of $10, going for it at $19.
You didn't allow me to learn.
Should be a subject of concern.
You didn't allow me to learn. If I had allowed me to learn, I'm saying that it is very normal that in business times, if I possess goods or I'm an owner of goods, and today I want to increase the prices of such goods, I could get a middleman. And so if you come to me directly, I can, just like what you are experiencing with our rent system, where you have to go through agent, you go directly to the landlord, and the landlord tells you that there are no rooms available, but you speak to an agent and you get the same room that the landlord just told you some few minutes that they are not available. And I'm saying that let's situate it in that proper context. The explanations that the ministry has given allegedly, I'm saying that I cannot even validate it, but even if we are to, just for the purpose of this conversation, Operado cannot just tell us that the ministry went ahead to buy it at $19 without being fair with the explanations that has been given. And these things in business sense happens, especially when the supply couldn't meet the demands. And I gave reference and I gave you instances where even as a country, those drugs that were free at some point, which were scheduled to be in the country within 2 weeks, so that the following week we are able to take the jabs. It didn't come. It took us extra 2 months. Okay. If you recall, India said they were not going to even give anyone else again.
Because we know India's crisis.
Yes.
Now, the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament raises some key issues. Government went there. Government knew they were going to buy from the open market. And government sent $10 per dose as the figure they wanted to be approved. Government understands business. The finance minister has been in the industry and knows that in such transactions, middlemen can come in. So something informed the reasoning for government to go and peg it at $10. He also raises the fact that even if the price should change, they ought to have gone to Parliament. And so the suspicion is being built around, let's exploit the situation, where he makes reference to what is happening at the airport, for example. And then the last one is, how do countries which are supporting us with free vaccines, how do you expect them to react to these allegations, which is already in the international domain?
Okay, so on the issue about whether or not government should have liaised with Parliament, again, I mean, we'll still have to find out whether, relative to the agreement on the $10, there was a conversation between government and Parliament again. If that was not done, I mean, clearly the Constitution is clear on such a position. But then again, we cannot also forget on the doctrine of necessity, where at some point, some sort of extra constitutional activities can be done to protect lives or
which lives?
No, I'm saying that.
But you and I know
I'm coming.
We are not protecting lives in Ghana. You go to Makola today, there's nothing like protocols, and of course, government officials are part of
that is a different
part of activities breaking the protocol. So the idea of, oh, we are buying it for $19 because we want to protect Ghanaians won't wash. It will rather provoke the Ghanaian listening to you.
That is also a different conversation that we have to have, and that is our general performance and credibility relative to enforcement of laws. If you look at some of these laws on these road safety regulations, some compliance, for instance, as a people, our general performance and credibility is low. If you look at laws, the GIPC Act, for instance, which prevents foreigners from doing retail activities, our general performance is low. If you look at laws on sanitation laws, our general performance as a people is low. So generally, as a country, we have a problem.
So where does protection of life come from?
No, I'm saying that it does not necessarily suggest that because you were unable to enforce certain critical laws as a people, if you have an option to also enforce certain laws or protect lives, you should neglect that duty. Okay. And I'm saying, if you had allowed me to now, if you look at the vaccine, and again, let's put it in the proper context.
And if you can do it in 1.5 minutes,
the context that you guys have brought. That even if the parliamentary consultations were not done, it does not necessarily suggest that it's strictly illegal, especially when it can be justified under the doctrine of necessity, where it was necessary that because of the prevailing moment, it was necessary for the state to procure those drugs or those vaccines at every time, at all costs. And so you have to look at all these balances and not just establish a very simplistic and unattractive argument and hopes that every person will buy it. What is more important is that as a people, we can call for investigation. We must call for bipartisan investigation into it. If something untoward was done, then whoever perpetrators are punished. But as of now, we cannot validate some of these claims.
There are key points I've taken from his submission. One, it's a fact that it is not easy to get the vaccines. Two, it's a fact that African countries, as we speak, are still largely dependent on donations than what they can directly buy. And three, the fact is that people must be inoculated. So government has a responsibility. And if they have to get it for $19, and if that's the fact, NDC would have done same.
NDC would have done same, but would have done it to make sure, we would have gone about it to make sure that we don't break the laws of this country. Like the Honorable MP minority, the Honorable MP Minta Kando said, if you want to go ahead and procure these drugs at $19, you came to Parliament and Parliament approved $10 for you. It took a foreign newspaper to tell us that we were buying these drugs at $19. The ministry's letter says that they agreed on the 9th of March, almost 2 months, when you agreed with a foreign entity to supply you a drug at $19 when Parliament had approved $10. After 2 months, you didn't find it prudent to take it before Parliament to inform Parliament that this is the new arrangements. Or they think Parliament is not that important anymore. So if they have nothing to hide, are they telling us that if the newspaper had not broken the story, they would have come to tell us the truth? When I started arguing, I made my point that the minister told us in their letter that they could not negotiate, they could not find, they reached the bottleneck because they were not getting access to the drugs. That is how come they went onto the markets and then contacted third parties. It's an indictment on our governments. Because if a whole sovereign nation cannot on its own go onto the market and negotiate for a drug from another sovereign country, then it leaves much to be desired. So he can go ahead and make all the political gymnastics he wants to, all the spins he wants to put onto this. But the truth is that where we sit today, this government is notorious for taking monies that should not be spent on things like this. What they have done comes to vindicate those of us who have said that this government is a corrupt government and it is a chobo government. I will continue to cite the airport example and ask that Ghanaians should tie it in with how much money they have spent so much on COVID. In the last 1 year, the Auditor General tried auditing the COVID accounts. He was axed from office. And up to date, nobody knows how much money this government have spent on COVID ever since this virus broke out.
Government has mentioned about 21 billion cedis on COVID-related
audit the accounts. And let's see.
Kando yesterday said the health minister was able to account for 600 million cedis. Now let's move on to other topics. In the studio with me is Kwesi Kwame.
Out of 21 billion, they've only been able to account for 6 million.
That's what Minta Kando said.
That is inaccurate. Because as far as I'm concerned, I am aware the Auditor General is currently auditing every penny that was spent. And so we shouldn't jump ahead of the Auditor General and make it look like someone has spent A, B, or C. No, I mean, you are the Auditor General.
We will grant you that.
Let the Auditor General come out with it.
The Ghanaian people know better. They know that you guys are criminals and are stealing.
I mean, that is harsh. I mean, that
is the truth. What happened at the airport? Up to date, Ghanaians do not know.
So how much was lost at the airport?
But
no, how much was lost? How much was lost?
A test that should not cost more than $30. A test that should not cost more than $30. You are billing citizens $150. Until ECOWAS intervened, you are taking $150.
And you think that is criminal? Because a state is charging you. I'm telling you that.
So you don't profit off. You don't profit
other countries, people are even paying more than that.
It's not true.
No, I'm saying
that's not true. So I did my COVID test in the United States free of charge. Free of charge. So which other countries are people paying more? If people were paying more, ECOWAS would have issued a statement asking you to reduce the prices.
Pablo, I'm suggesting to you that even if a state decides to even charge $2,000 or $5,000,
private company,
it doesn't make it criminal.
Who is the private company behind that?
How much was lost? It doesn't make it criminal.
How much was lost? Is that what you're asking?
You can say that the state is overcharging.
No. You are profiting off a system that should help support all of us. A virus that is killing us. And you are profiting off it.
You are
think that is okay?
You are just playing sentimental arguments.
Let's keep nothing sentimental.
Let's keep our ears
that the state cannot charge people
nothing sentimental. No, you cannot profit off.
I am saying that if you go to the, do we produce any of the testing kits here?
And I'm saying that the whole test, the whole test should not cost us more than $30.
Let me take over now. what I know is that the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, today is expected to appear before Parliament. The minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, wants to know more about some of these things. Apart from him, the health minister is supposed to appear before Parliament and other related issues. So this issue about COVID-19 and tests and things that we don't know about, what is going on at the Kotoka International Airport, let's hope that by the close of the week, we should get some responses to bring finality to it. Now we are moving on to another topic. And what has been trending, my panelists subscribe to it, that let's look at hashtag fix the country, matters are rising, and if we are really going to get out of it. He started the conversation. Let me start with you, Kwesi. you enjoy your water. Enjoy your water.
when you are defending the indefensible.
Yeah. When is it defensible? Is it? Why? So I'm not entitled to drink water.
This special water.
The last time I met him on one of the stations, under air condition, my brother was sweating.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I'm saying that
the issues.
Ghanaians are interested in my content, not whether or not I sweat or something. And again, even that is not even true. That is the normal body's response to anything.
And water is good. Water is life. And of course, if you take X natural mineral water, I believe after taking this, you yourself will give testimony.
It's fine. It's good water. It makes you very truthful and for you to take it. That's how you do.
So go ahead. You have the floor now.
Okay, very well. So fix it. For me, is a good call, and that as a people, at some point, we need to remind ourselves and leadership that most of the challenges that we continue to face as a people are things that we need to reflect of, and then, yes, still to borrow their words, fix them. But again, if you are talking about fixing it, of course, it should be situated in a proper context. Because the first question is, why has fix it even become prominent in the first place? Fix it has become prominent and relevant because all of a sudden it is perceived. And to a larger extent, those who have such perceptions, they are founded that something is wrong. And so if something is wrong, then you need to even fix it. But the question is, why is it that all of a sudden the fix it mantra has become prominent and relevant, but not then? What it presupposes is that initially everything was well until a certain point where things started probably getting worse, and therefore they need to fix them. Because if nothing is broken, you will not have to fix them. Again, we came into power in 2017. Nobody said fix it. Because at that time, we had restored the nursing training allowance that our friends cancelled. In 2018, nobody said fix it because the free SHS, when our friends of Ari and Co said it wasn't possible. It's possible. And as of now, enrollment has increased from 800,000 to 1.2 million. And again, we are not only looking at only access or increasing access, but we are also looking much on quality and even relevance. It is the more reason why you had recently Dr. Duchum trying to establish STEM education in Ghana, because at the end, if you look at the socio-economic dynamics as a people, for instance, if you want to develop as a people, you need to transform your educational sector. And the reading and writing from 57, from the pre-colonial days up to now, has not really taken us anywhere. And so the education sector too, for instance, we are fixing it. So if you want to take it sector by sector, yes, you cannot say that everything is well. Let me use the education sector, for instance. I mean, I have heard arguments that the free SHS policy, for instance, was a rush policy and that we needed to have taken our time. Per the extension of such logics, it means that probably then we should park all cars, finish fixing all our roads before we start using our cars. Or we should disconnect every electricity grid. We connect the whole country into electricity. We finish solving every issues with the energy crisis. Then before we on the light.
But that argument doesn't situate well because one, if we all park our cars, government is not going to give us an alternative.
Exactly. That's why it's a simplistic argument.
People who are paying, and government says whether you have money or not, don't pay.
But there are private SHS. If you can't relate it. No. I'm saying that is the more reason why such arguments cannot be sustained, and that they are simplistic arguments. But that is even just one set of one aspect of the argument. Again, there is one other thing that we are missing as a people. To me, I believe that the average Ghanaian holds the New Patriotic Party to a higher standard than any other party in the history of this country. And so when things, because if you look at challenges like, say, our electricity sector, our road sector, our water coverage, if you look at, I mean, recently I heard the Minister of Roads and Highways gave a speech, and I understand that even the road coverage network, the network is less than 30% or so. I mean, you guys can confirm the facts for us. So if you look at from independence up till now, and our road network in terms of coverage and quality is less than 30%, and all of a sudden, fix-it has become very prominent and dominant, and everybody expects that within 4 years or 5 years, a government should fix the remaining 70%. I mean, yes, it could be possible, but what I believe is that it only means that the Ghanaian hold the MPP to a higher standard than any other party. And so such contests will also have to come in. If you look at, say, our water system, via, how do you call it, Ghana Water and Co. Look at pipes that have been broken for 10 years, maintenance work that were supposed to be done in the past 20 years, and all of a sudden there is a call on you to fix them. And so it means that people are holding you to a higher standard than any of them.
Don't you think that this sudden call or change in the public narrative for piling pressure on government to address their concerns is born out of the what people or critics would describe the level of impunity, government using its own discretion and misplacing priorities? That is why people are becoming angry, and so now they are collectively saying fix the economy. So some reference how much government has borrowed and what government deems fit, like National Cathedral. You break buildings belonging to judges, buildings which were built as recent as 2015 because you want to build a National Cathedral. Anybody will say it looks like you are not interested in what belongs to the people and why they need it.
Yeah, so if, I mean, from the context that you put it, it all boils down to the economics of it and whether government policies are fiscal and prudent at the end of the day. And so if you look at the economic of it, like I said, it became relevant because of this just very recent times. And most importantly, because COVID has caused a lot of havoc. And so you see that businesses that were initially doing well are no longer doing well. You see that people that had their jobs are no longer having
COVID has also aggravated the situation.
Yes, exactly. And so,
okay, now let me take a brief comment from George. We wouldn't spend much time. Today I'm told there's a paid-for interview that will come at the last 15 minutes. So let's begin to wrap up. George, what do you make of this? There are issues at stake. Fix the country. Some say, look, the problems in this country started or have been existing for years. And so we cannot assume that one government can solve all of them at the same time. And then again, the police and how they are handling the conveners.
I cannot speak to it without not addressing quickly some of the statements he made. Fix it has become necessary because the Ghanaian people have seen this government fail them. Governments are elected and governments are changed because people want to see a certain level of activism. People want to see a government that is more proactive in dealing with challenges that confronts them. And that has been missing from this administration. This government is filled with only talks, less action. When a government borrows so much, in the last 4 years, this government has borrowed almost 240 billion. And then you look at the economics of it, and then you look around you, and you don't see anything. And then, based on promises they made and things they said previously, they saw a government that was working for them in this country. Rural electrification was ongoing. Schools were being built. Physical projects, airports were being built. Systems were being upgraded. Roads were being fixed. And then you told us that the government was borrowing too much and that we have money in this country, we have money in this economy, and when you come, you do more for them. 4 years down the line, they gave you a holiday. 4 years, they did not ask you to fix anything. But after 4 years, they look back and ask themselves, this government borrowed less than 60 billion. But then they have an airport to show. They have a travel to show. They have Rage Hospital to show. They have the University of Ghana Hospital to show. They have the railway lines today are taking credit for to show that something was happening. They have the Franco interchange that they are taking credit for today to show. They have the circle interchange to show. They have the Bitchibilante circle to show. The government that was borrowing so much, you claim.
But
had all this to show.
Ghanaians endorsed the same government. And that's why they're empowered to do.
I'm coming. So when you make noise in opposition, and you tell the people that when you come, you can do better, then they'll start chasing you when they realize that you have nothing to offer them. Okay. On the issue of the police, I need to let the police, or Ghanaians need to let the police understand one thing. The Act 491 or so, the Public Order Act, if I'm not mistaken, says that you only have to alert the police 5 clear days before you intend to demonstrate. Demonstrations are your rights. Nobody can take it. That is how come the Supreme Court quashed that bogus decision that came from the court of seeking an injunction in perpetuity. Who does that? You cannot sit on my rights forever.
Okay. Unfortunately, I will be wrapping up. I'll give you some 30 seconds. I'll give him 30 seconds. I understand Tain is organizing an event this weekend. So maybe use your 30 seconds to talk about that. But quick rebuttal. There's an interview coming on. So let's
one thing I want to react to. Okay. That was with regards to the loans that we've taken. I mean, again, you have to put it in a proper context, especially when most of these loans or most of these debts were caused by you. Because if you look at loans, for instance, first of all, you have to look at the cost and the use. If you look at the cost, for instance, some of the inherited debts that we had from the NDC, you have the financial sector cleanup, for instance, costing 21.6 billion Ghana cedis. It was something that we took a loan to fix and make that you failed to fix. I'm coming. The energy sector, for instance, 4 billion Ghana cedis. NHIS, before you left office, you had left a debt of 1.2 billion. How are you expecting it to be paid? The contractors, you are owing
what is the current debt
over 6 billion.
What is the current debt?
And again, you should even look at the interest on existing loans. I mean, all those.
So much of the loans that we are talking about. And again, there's a difference between securing a loan and loans that were existing. So are you suggesting that loans were secured to pay?
No, I mean that has been the practice. We secure loans.
But you are aware that,
is the more reason why
the Bank of Ghana governor is complaining that the courts are delaying the retrieval from assets and sale of those whose facilities were collapsed. Only 1.7% has been collected so far, and we are proudly talking about 21 billion.
No, I'm saying that is with regards to the judicial system.
Okay, no,
I mean that is with regards to the judicial system.
30 seconds wrap up.
From this week, Tain KNUST turns 26, the NDC turns 29 today. On Saturday, we'll be having the Accra edition. We'll be meeting all former Tain executives at the Zenith University College. And then next week on the 25th of this month, University of Ghana Tain will also be having a general meeting. There is a lot of positive vibe happening on the Tain front. And I entreat every well-meaning Ghanaian, especially students in tertiary institutions, that if you want the government that addresses your concerns, if you want a party that believes in you as a young person,
30 seconds. I know Tescon also had something. Kenneth Japan was speaking. 30 seconds.
I mean, that was with regards to the University of Ghana City Campus program, and of course, it was to re-energize the base. And again, prepare ourselves and position ourselves for the breaking the 8, the traditional 8 year. Because if you look at it, for instance, within the Fourth Republic, NDC 16 years, MPP 16 years. So it's about time we set the record straight and break the 8. I mean,
so Kwesi Kwarteng is a member of the NPP's National Communications Team. George Oparado, National Youth Organizer of the NDC. Are you going again?
Yes, I'm
running. All right, so
we'll come and support you.
Okay, so Nana Abunasewa will be joining us later, and you will not miss, or you don't have to miss what she's coming to do. Just stay, watch TV XYZ.
HD logo the bottom. When you say HD local channels na mo gano. And so pictures clear. A 5 times better. As other channels that go be your hormone. So when I mention someone tell me why. Oh, what a pictures. What a picture. What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now electroland agent PR natural local channels now HD the here's of better star 879 hash numbers from people box and now you activate 80 channels now.
Get an HD Plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bustle promo lasts from 7th June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
We are one man short. Should we invite him?
Yeah.
It be old cargo.
Can I join you guys?
Yeah. Always drink fresh, natural eggs, mineral water.
Still got it. Always keep hydrated naturally. That's my secret.
Manufactured with the primary aim of preserving nature's finest minerals necessary for a healthy mind and body. X Natural Mineral Water. Simply natural.
Welcome back to the morning update. A lot has been said today, and I do hope that Wapiki BB from Eric already did mention that drinks na wants to stop manuashe. Now, speaking of not eating properly, and I say eating properly, hey, good morning. Studio. It's saying. Why I feel?
That's
a loss.
Say look, can you tell you show me some?
I think I have a passion and Manu Komae.
Oh, you have share her phone na teacher Mama Lawson and then the product na atum and chashon ko if Dr. Lawson and na so ye koma obi bia na no entem person tino ye enum yensa and Dr. Lawson e de aba edwaman so a edi dwuma yie pa e wo wiase afanan bebia na medican akasa afa eye Lawson Herbal Mixture no ho eno ne panyini a ewo mu Lawson Herbal Mixture no eno na Dr. Lawson edi kan edi ba edwaman so ema wo bia gitu mu se ampa we eye adupa edro ono ankasa ede ne nsa asinebo akase a edro die me de beto me ho esan se edi dwumadie yie pa e wo wiase afanan bebia obi bebi sase na Lawson Herbal edi adwuma krampo na edi me pa mo chomo me nhye ade bi ene sise yenwa na edi nyina no akoye starch nso de mwamunim de etumede bo bi no obetimi akase matena ewie ya simu bra na wotwe memfa starch aduane enkama no wo yare da hokra akokwa ye de be ma wompo no na eye starch enti Dr. Lawson si wo hu ye mobo ena wakofa Lawson Herbal ade aba adwaman so a enei no ebo obi biara ye pa titru ye na ye tai starch aduane no ebi ho no ma oposa nani obi nso honom wan ho ekeka no mesraw eye koko na aba betena oni padua mu obu honom a sabi mesra kasa kakra koko etimi efifi ewo ne to enti sabi oja ne nan a anasa okọ toilet a ohumogya bi se efi ne to ba mesraw eye koko obi nso ewo honom a ne ntini mu atwetwe ne yie pa edu anadwa wontimi nda obi kwa no de hanki anasa aboso no de achechechechire no ho esofi ne nan kokom na abesi ne pa achi na eho etwe ne tan woje no ho anyi obi nso honom a anaso etimi kyin de do na ataka ne se ananse enti ne mpaboa akra rofi ne namu a ohun se mpaboa a hyeme kra no awo ne nsa ayetitriti oda sori a asese bi ne nsa ne de dua bi anasa de bi aboso amatese ne nsa na ayetitriti enti mesra wo so de diabetes obi nso honom a blood pressure hypertension ene ne wote me pa wo chaw entina ho ema yare enje oni padua emoso esanse nipa ya mediche bi ewa asasi so enti de kakra wo bedi ansa na wo de akọwaja nchen no se yare no betena ebetete na ha wo ye pa wo sika mpo a wani enje ewa abrabo mu enti kope Lawson Herbal Mixture ibi ba bia wo beko bia dwaman su bia to apeti se ya atam ebi ewo ho ebi obi hye owa yare bi opese ne doctor ankasa ekasa mesraw akwanya eda ho mo bibia se one doctor etwetwe nkomo enti doctor number ena me de etudwa no enti wo betumi afre Dr. Lawson na chese wa pa yare ho pomasibre ede amount number no eye 0242 133 577 mesu CBM 0242 133 577 your Lawson Herbal Mixture so dia ena ne ye ba locker so locker ena se say me de age me 3 pointer be say wo me krom na se no me twi me car na se ye locker adaroma locker de aboa me ye pa me se say ma nyina wo wiase anya ntomo anto anom a me ankasa menom esan se minim de meka me de me se me bo pa minim de meka locker yi ni dwumade sonko a edi eye STIs mum ye sha de bi tete no ne dwa bi wo nwura mu na ye franu dwanu futene na abaya bi so opese ni mpokua no nyini ya akese a okogina dwa ya se na wayi ni mpokua no akire dwa no na aye kese na edwa bi so wo ho na franu ejama haban obi ensoso ho no mo a ne ba esisu no emba tan no ye maamenom pa ne ba esisu no na okopesa adua yi bi eye jama haban no okofa jama haban na woposa ne sei waposa wie no na ode akoha ne ba no mesra mo meka so ode akoha ne ba na ode hye ne ba ne nan tem sabi na himfie ho na waka ne nan atoso enti sima aduasa entem no obebie no na kyesa akwa na himfie ho no na ache na ye keto ebi na ye kama na na ye kofa sa nwia nyina ewo hen enti Dr. Lawson si wo hu ye mobo wakeka sa nwia nyina bomba ako e na ode eye locker no enti wonom na esan wo yare no treat from STIs ho no na ese show na esiesio oba na etwewafu akogu hips ene wachimu amachese waya kama bari ma bi wo honom a ono so ehu amane bi pa cha wo so betumi anom enti sa ono ho kani neti a we beto 5 bottles na be ma no sort of 5 bottles enti obia enom ne de enwie no na esiesio afa oba na himfie ho ache oba ne ho aye nikanika be ma nso bi efru be ma mu be mu ahyehye we mu wakekaw a wo jo nso a obi wa afla wo kro obete wonka no ni nyina ebeja na chese aye ni die ede amaw Dr. Lawson number e wo screen na so betumi afa na na twetwe nkombom mi ankasa so me boba ma e bi brain tu ntimi emfa make boba ade amaw enti yanko 0242 133 577 Mrs. Subiem 0242 133 577 Frank Dr. Lawson any new commona on power on pomasubre enfamount say ye cry there ene na eye delay man herbal capsules edro na miankasa mete ne so a na masore no pepacho eno ne delay man herbal capsules jumede shonko a edi eboye nuanom mrante wa mema na ye papa empanyimfo no maduro mu empanyimfie su no delay man ebo a omo pa esan so bo ha na adwuma ne yentenase obi su de ye nyina ho obegina ho more than 6 hours obi su begina ho more obi betenase more than 6 hours entanu no kodu fia wa bre akohye maame pekakrate wose ojai no twetwe ne ho be ma yesa wo yire bebo wa hwe ya wo yire bebo na jesa wo kra wani unya ni je bia wo fie enti be ma wontimi mmo adwuma anadwo wontimi wurawura mesra wo ye ho kope delay man herbal capsules ibi nenom enye sika nkwa ne dada wo ba adwuma yenso eka ho oba bi wo ho anu watu adi obintin bi achi mesraw wo hwe obenten kura na nka wo hwe ho a enka se bi animnyam ne achinyam ne honamnyam nka wo kakra se obenten enso wo de ade bi eje afiri wonsem se ye atwan eya graphic na wawate usika akoto nti awose wa wutimi kan na wawote wa ade ase etukope delay man herbal capsule CB na nom na ensiesio na anu se kura de unimade ayi kan ye ye keka yi se ajo anam se yes wo se local ni jainom na me tira mahiem no na won so kan wo de metwem jainom na me bre just say asiesie ya ma se mi ankasa mitum se ye no aye kamro mo edu se o tise go prama so a otimi di agroma mi ankasa no me feel enti na imagine me ka say ono so o ma akohoma anopa na media siso enuma na media siso ye je ho ntere han ye pa e o ye fie ho me so for Dr. Lawson number na ene ne twetwe nkomo e bia me yo ba afare me nti Dr. Lawson number am di to da frɛ no na ye be me no ye be me ide na wo mo enkasa wono madura wa pa abada bi se kro bi wa kro bi so eto aso nti Dr. Lawson number enim e 0242 133 577 Mrs. Subiem 0242 133 577 yada ahwefo nyina ase anopayin so
yes yada wase yi and you my pa monro I tell you all the time said my mom takes the Lawson herbal mixture I born into Mr. I say obe bi twetwe wana waje edro ni bianom anopayi yede nkomo twetwe ni besi ha ochina the same time 6:30 a.m. morning update will come your way so see you tomorrow.